Hello and welcome to my spoiler review of Mother. Now this is going to be a lot less of a review and more just me talking to the camera about how I felt about the movie, how it let me feel, and mainly my interpretation of it. Now I'm not actually going to be using a script for this, I'm just going to completely freeball my interpretation because I find the more I talk, the more I change my opinion about certain themes that this film does actually touch upon. So, my interpretation of the film is that Javier Bardem is God, Jennifer Lawrence plays Mother Earth, Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer play humans, or as they become later in the film, Adam and Eve, and really Mother is an artistic way of telling the stories of the Bible. Now of course when you first see it, for the first half of the movie I felt a lot of confusion as to what the fuck was happening in the movie. It felt like a lot of just cut scenes, but obviously I'm quite aware of Darren Aronofsky, and I'm quite a large fan of Darren Aronofsky's work, that I knew that there was going to be a payoff and it would lead to a lot of building of tension. One of the things that I think this movie did really, really well was it really captured an atmosphere and it had a consistent tone throughout, but also that is more of the things that I didn't like in the movie. Because generally what happens in horrors or thrillers, not that this movie is a horror or a thriller because it was so oddly marketed, but generally you have a tension building, and then you have a scene of levity that will give the audience a chance to breathe. And in this movie, you didn't have a chance to breathe at all. In fact, it was increasing the tension exponentially, but you didn't have a chance to let off any steam until the credits roll. So, because of that, I left the movie really exhausted. And then obviously, taking into account what the movie's about, I walked out of the movie just thinking, what the fuck did I just watch? Some of the imagery is very, very dark and very haunting. I've never seen so many people walk out of a cinema. The cinema that I went to, I asked the guy before the film how many people were in it. He said 14. There were 4 people left, including myself, by the end of the film. So many people walked out. The scene, which I'm sure that you guys know about, that I'm going to talk about, is in the final act. Don't get me wrong, I hate children. Like, I hate kids. I've recently found one child that I do like, but I really just don't like kids. In saying that, seeing an infant's neck get snapped and then a bloody carcass of the child being fed to 20, 30 people it was really, really hard to watch, which I know was the point, because that child was the embodiment of Jesus, because halfway through the movie it goes from Old Testament to New Testament. Of course this is all my interpretation, but just it was seeing it and hearing a child's neck get snapped. It was really hard to watch, and it was at that point about 5 people jumped up out of their seats and got the fuck out of there. Javier Bardem, I don't really know what to say other than the fact that he nailed it. Throughout the movie, I'm sure everyone thought from the trailer as well as when you do watch the movie, but throughout the movie you're watching it and you go, I don't know what this guy's deal is. You know, Jennifer Lawrence is there and she's asking him, you know, get these people out of my house, and he just doesn't listen. He keeps doing it, and as an audience member, I was getting so incredibly frustrated right up until the final scene where it is revealed what the fuck we've been watching. It was just an absolute masterclass in acting, and he really, really did just a fantastic job. Also, I hate to do this because I don't like Jennifer Lawrence, but she had full commitment in this movie. I've never seen a more confusing role. You know, it's confusing because of how many other ways that she could take it. One thing that has never been associated with Jennifer Lawrence is a nurturing feeling, and she really did do that really well in the film. I felt so much throughout this movie. I felt disgusted. I felt lost. I was horrified. I was mortified. But on the drive home from the movie, it all started playing in my head as to what the film was about. And really, this movie is a high budget art house film. That is the only way to discuss it. And because of that, it's going to be incredibly divisive amongst fans, because what we were sold in the trailers was going to be more of a horror and a thriller, and what we ended up getting was just this incredibly interpretative piece of art. So please spoil away in the comments below. I need to talk to people about this movie, because I feel incredibly changed after seeing the film. It was haunting, and it was incredibly dark, and I didn't know how to feel, but it was just so well done. But I hated it, but I loved it. But it's a masterpiece, but it's a piece of shit. Like, I feel all them things talking about this movie, so I'm really going to have a great time discussing this movie with everyone in the comments below. Now, because this is a spoiler review, just go apeshit in the comments. I want to know everyone's thoughts, whether I'm wrong in my interpretation. That's one thing that I would like to talk about. I haven't checked out any reviews for this movie because I've been looking forward to it for so long that, I mean, I could be way off, but everything in the movie was just pointing to that. You know, you had Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer's children reenacting Cain and Abel. You had the floods. But it was just Jennifer Lawrence in the movie was just so fantastic. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about now. I really need to digest this movie as well as a few vodkas. But please, thank you so much for checking out my review. Please comment below what you thought of it. And of course, if you like this video and want to see more, please click here to see more. Thanks for watching. Bye.